We're doing a whiskey that is making history in what I originally thought was the lamest way possible.
So lame that you kept forgetting about it.
Yeah.
Constantly.
What started out as confusion. Like, talking about this project, it's like, I don't get it. And finally started to wrap my arms around it. And I realized, I'm not confused, I'm annoyed. This is ridiculous. And then that annoyance became amusement.
As soon as you found out that it's a gimmick.
And now I'm actually pretty excited about it, because even the whiskey nerd, they're probably gonna learn a thing or two they didn't know about whiskey. But before we dive into that, we need you to go on an epic journey that will make or break this entire venture. Can you do this, Brianna?
What the hell?
That sucks. So for clear spirit makers in the early 1970s, making the vodka and the gin there, it was the best of times. But bourbon and rye makers, for them, it is the worst of times. All right, so imagine this. You are a bourbon maker, you're a rye maker, and you've invested years into the barrels, and your spirit has been really popular for a long time. But this younger generation, the bell-bottom brigade, is gonna find your spirit a little bit too full-flavored and oak-forward for their liking. So they go to the predecessor of the TTB, that organization that makes sure everybody that is making a spirit is following the rules, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, compliance. And say, hey, we can't compete with this new market preference. Please change the rules for what it takes to make bourbon and rye. And, sneaky f***ers, we don't think the market's gonna notice if you change the rules for bourbon and rye. So what were the big changes that American whiskey makers, bourbon and rye whiskey makers, were asking for? Please, 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 we want to be able to use used barrels with really, really high proof stuff, so we can make really, really light, flavorless-ish spirit and still call it bourbon and rye. These weren't like a little cabal of greedy whiskey dorks in the corner there. Like, these were big whiskey makers at the time. These are the ones that are steering the industry. Fortunately, the government came to the rescue, also simultaneously shitting the bed. The predecessor to today's TTB, they didn't buckle. They said, you know what? No. Bourbon's bourbon, rye is rye. It's not going to be chasing vodka. It's not going to be chasing gin. It's not going to be chasing our whiskey-making cousins in the name of $1. But in my infinite government wisdom, I hear your pleas and have bestowed upon you grace and knowledge with the invention of a brand new category, so you can go chase vodka and gin like a little bitch. And the whiskey makers are like, yeah. What are we doing? It's like, hey, you guys can start making light whiskey. It's a bad idea. That's like your legal compliance department in a business designing your billboard. So in the words of an anonymous Seagram employee who was actually working there at the time, he said, American light whiskey was a product for which no market existed, and none could be created by advertising. Light whiskey had little flavor and none of the prestige of an import. Back then, younger drinkers continued to gravitate toward vodka and rum. The whiskey revival that's going strong today was still very, very far away. And here's the craziest bit. The specific rules that the American whiskey makers were asking for, of higher distillation proof and, used barrels and all that other stuff, that category already existed in Scotland and Ireland. It was called single grain whiskey. And that was selling pretty well. That was actually a respectable player in the market, even in these evolving preferences. All right, think about that. The single grain whiskey category that already existed across the pond had all of the criteria, specifications that American whiskey makers wanted, but they got greedy. They tried to get the designation for bourbon and rye, and they should have just said, hey, can we make single grain whiskey here in the United States? Because then we can compete on an even playing field. So the entire light whiskey category flopped, regardless of the absolute fortune that was spent on marketing this thing and the millions of barrels that distillers filled. But did some good stuff ever get made? I mean, there's some good single grain. If light whiskey is basically the same thing, did Americans ever make a good light whiskey? So let's check in with Gene Nassif. He is deeply familiar with single grain and light whiskey. Let's hear what he has to say about the crossover between these two categories.
You and I both know light whiskey as a category, it's unsexy.
Yeah, and I've even bottled and imported now single grain whiskeys from over in Scotland. I've done North British, it was 30 years old. And the entire time that I was tasting it, it's at a shop in Iowa, a pretty big shop. They go, how does this compare to Scotch? And I, explain single malt versus single grain. How does this compare to my Johnny Blue? And I go, well, funny part is it's part of Johnny Blue. And then they go, how does this compare to your light whiskey? And I go, it's the exact same thing, distilled in a different country. And that just blew their minds. It really did shock them. So once people start perceiving light whiskey like they would a single grain whiskey over in Scotland, people immediately go to, okay, why aren't they blending this? And then you get into the blends of using American single malts, bourbons, and rye to blend with a light whiskey base. So it's going to be cool to see what happens.
Speaking of the blending that Gene was referring to, the category of single grain throughout history has most often been used in blends. In 1830, a column still was put into the marketplace. Up until that point, it had just been pot still. And over the course of the next several decades, more and more people are using this column still technology because it's so much more efficient. The benefit is it's continuous. You can just keep it going. You can distill much more efficiently, unlike the traditional pot stills, and they're experimenting with other kinds of grains, and they're very often blending that whiskey with the single malt stuff and releasing it into the marketplace. But all the old school traditional single malt Scotch makers, they're getting kind of pissed off. It's like, wait a minute, this column still nonsense. That's not whiskey. What the hell is this? Because these young upstarts with this new technology can crank out the spirit, but as far as they're concerned, that ain't whiskey. So there was this huge cultural debate about what is whiskey. It resulted in 1909, a Royal Commission appointed experts who wanted to really decide once and for all, what is whiskey? And that Royal Commission in 1909 decided the solution that we, the government, are going to bestow upon you, a brand new category. Sound familiar? That was the birth of single grain whiskey. The difference between the single grain category solution and the light whiskey category solution, the single grain whiskey makers, they had already proven their merit. They were going toe to toe with the traditional single malt pot still whiskey guys. Light whiskey, nobody wanted it because, quite frankly, those first iterations were not good. They were chasing vodka. Clearly at this point, there's a lot of regulatory issues and like historical details and people that have their own agendas. It can get pretty wonky. But if we're gonna release this whiskey with any kind of success or fanfare, we gotta find a gimmick. Our hopes and dreams rest in the hands of a tiny girl with large noises. All right, everything is riding on you getting to the destination and meeting this guru that can help us. Are you sure you are ready for this epic journey?
I've got a grappling hook. I've got my rations of booze.
Strategic whiskey reserves?
Yes.
Got the map?
Oh,
The most critical thing is the map.
I do have the map.
You cannot lose the map. The map is the only way.
I do have it. Oh.
All right, this map is thousands of years old. It's been passed down through the generations. Countless people have died protecting this map.
It's right here. I'm trying to pick it up. Oh, it's so close. Kind of chopstick it. Oh, fuck.
No, I got it. Again, with your life, protected at all costs.
Yeah.
That's
Understood.
okay.
But what if I have questions?
You'll figure it out.
What the hell? What the hell is this? Hey.
Hey.
I'm here.
Oh, shit.
I'm back on the property?
Yeah. Look, it's just a meeting that I didn't have time to go do, so go do that.
Are you kidding me?
I believe in you.
Okay.
Sometimes
All right, I'm in the building. I'm about to meet him.
we need that sweet, sweet gimmick juice spread all over our single grain release. Can you do this?
I can do this.
Oh yeah, come on in.
Hey, Mr. McGimmick.
Hey, pleasure to meet you.
It's an honor to meet you. I've heard
Yeah.
so much about you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
likewise.
Wait a second. Hey, you look really familiar. Do I know you?
No, we've never met.
You look oddly familiar.
Don't know you.
Are you Fancy Dan?
No, I'm not Fancy Dan. I've never been Fancy Dan. I'm Danny McGimmick. I did not fake my own death in Scotland to evade taxes. I've been Danny McGimmick for at least 40 years.
40 years?
40 years.
How old are you?
27.
I'm really sure I saw a video of you dying in Scotland.
How would you know? You've never been to Scotland. Let's move right along.
All right, so we got this project. We got this whiskey. It's a beautiful whiskey. It tastes amazing, you know, but it's a little bit boring, a little nerdy. It's the first of its kind. It's history in the making, but when you really dig deep, it's boring.
I see what you're talking about. I see what you're saying.
Mr. McGimmick, can you help us?
You're in luck. You come to the right guy. Come from a long, proud line of McGimmicks. Generations of gimmicks we done. You heard of Pet Rock?
Yeah.
You heard of fidget spinners? Yeah. Beanie Babies? Yeah. Edible underwear? Avocado toast.
I love avocado toast.
Just wait. Total gimmick.
Damn.
Rothschilds?
You mean just the Rothschilds?
Yeah, we did that.
I didn't know you could just do that. Just the family?
You'd be surprised.
You did the family.
I mean, it sounds bad when we put it that way. So, show me what we're working with here, okay? You got a boring whiskey, I understand, but show me the glass, show me the bottle. Starts with the bottle.
All right, this is what we got.
Boring as shit. First problem, way too big. Would never fit in my ass. It holds liquid, yes. But I mean, could it be like, I don't know, the Statue of Liberty or something? Somebody's face. We're talking C-list celebrity here, like Dean Cain. Somebody's face or ass. I got it. Dean Cain's ass, we can get it cheap.
Well, I mean, we already ordered.
Okay, you've already ordered all the bottles, so butts off the table. What's the cork situation, huh?
It's right here.
I'm thinking like a small butt, maybe something that could fit in my butt. That sucks. No, seriously, I mean, you're killing me here. Look at this, look at this. We need Blanton's, okay? I just had this in my pocket as a reminder to my great-great-uncle Blanton McGimmick, okay? You start with the bourbon, it's okay. You got a cool hand grenade little bottle here, but you put the horse on top, people lose their minds. They'll sell their firstborn for this. You gotta collect them all, they're like Pokemans. Let's get down to brass tacks here. Show me the label, what you got?
That's what we got so far.
Single grain whiskey. Marty asleep, okay?
It's light whiskey. That's what it's always been called in America. But in Scotland and other places, they say single grain. So we put the single grain label on it. It's the first in the country to do it.
So it's light whiskey
But we put single grain so we could charge more money.
for more money.
Yeah,
It's a gimmick.
you're damn right it's a gimmick.
You know what? I believe so much in this product, I'll slap my name on it. I've been saving this for a special occasion, a fine vintage. My glow-in-the-dark paint, you can put it on the labels.
Wow, we're gonna paint all the labels with it?
No, like 12. Anyway, what's the budget?
So I got like $8.
Get out of my office.
I'm sorry to have wasted
Get
your
out of
time.
here. Actually, you know what? Come back. It was just a gimmick. Sit down. Leave the $8. We're in business. We're gonna make a fortune. We're gonna be pioneers of scamming the whiskey industry. Before you leave, look under here.
What?
Look under my desk right now.
I don't know if I should do that.
Just do it. Are we partners or not?
Yep, we are.
Gimmick number 1,
Got him.
gimmick number 2. Link in the description. You can buy it right now.
Thank you so much, Mr. McGimmick. Thank
Hey,
you.
Listen, let me talk about price point for a second, okay? It's like a nectar of the gods or something. $5,000 is what I'm thinking, but I'm not even gonna charge that. You wanna get in on this action, but I understand times are hard. $3,000, now you're hurting me. But we're talking family deal, personal offer, personal friends. $1,000, it's nice, it's round, it's got 3 zeros. I understand, you're looking at me, you're giving me the eye, you wanna walk away from this deal. $350, why do you hate me? Okay, $150, special one-time offer. 2 for $300. Now we're talking, okay? I'll even throw in 2004's Christmas with the Cranks on DVD. How's that sweeten the deal? Tim Allen, a little bit of Tim Allen action.
This episode is sponsored by our Patreon.
The Whiskey Tribe Patreon. All you magnificent bastards that are in there doing whiskey quests with us. Thank you so much. They launched Crowd a Barrel, world's first crowdsourced
First
whiskey.
one.
In a couple of weeks in the Whiskey Tribe Patreon. What are we gonna be doing first time?
We are going to be electing our round table.
Yes, these are whiskey sages that are going to be combing the community, getting ideas from you guys, figuring out what's going to be the most viable options for this latest whiskey quest whenever we're collectively designing whiskeys together at Crowd a Barrel.
Combing it,
Thanks, you
grooming
guys.
it.
Wow, why would you?
We're gonna groom our Patreon members.
Lots of people have released light whiskey, but no one's labeled it single grain. That was the thing. And so here we are. This one is the Chardonnay barrel. This one's the Armagnac barrel. Now, we're changing the labels. They'll be much better. God, that's so good.
We have the results.
Yeah, check it out right here.
Endorsed by Mr. Danny friggin' McGimmick himself. Do we have glow-in-the-dark labels on all of these?
They are on 12 of each finish.
That's a limited edition. Link in the description down below. Now, for these single grain labels, I think one of three things is gonna happen. Either we're gonna get in trouble, which not really is gonna be likely because we went through the proper channels and we got actual label approval. It's approved, yeah. Or somebody in the TTB is gonna get in trouble for letting that slip through the cracks. Or you're gonna see a lot more distilleries in the US start releasing single grain.
That's what we're hoping for.
Either as, you know, their own bottles or putting them in like blends and whatnot, referring to single grain as the base of the blend. We'll see. Hey, what do people win if they score one of these glow-in-the-dark labels?
Nothing.
Bye! If you want to see the rest of Daniel's tasting notes for this release, the link in the description down below is going to take you to the bottle page and he's going to give all of those in-depth notes for you. Now, I think at this moment, it's imperative that we all recognize that this project may be one small step for Crowded Barrel, but it's a giant leap for whiskey labels. We can go higher than this.
Higher!
Link in the description down below.